What's happening, people? I hope you're well. Today we're going to be talking about the main things that you want to be looking out for or thinking about when you're looking around your next investment property. So I recently put out a video on my TikTok, it blew up. I'll put it up here. So I thought I'd jump on YouTube and give you guys a little bit of a longer format video so you have a better understanding of what it was I was actually talking about on the show. So of course I'm no expert, however I do have my own refurb property, as you can see here behind us, and I have invested a lot of time and money into training. So the first thing that you want to take into account when you're looking around your next investment property is exterior cracks or damages. Now these can be a hard thing to spot, but I'll put some photos up here now of some exterior cracks so you can get an idea of what it is that you're going to be looking for. And in terms of structural defects or damages, the main thing that you're looking out for is subsidence or any sort of issues that may relate to the structural integrity of the house. Now, things like subsidence will likely be pulled on your survey when you do go ahead and get a survey on the property. However, it's always good to know, therefore you're not spending hundreds of pounds on a survey when you already could have realised that the property didn't actually work. The second thing that you want to be looking out for when viewing a property is the roof and windows. You want to be checking the condition of the roof, making sure that there's no bulges, no missing tiles, that there's no boring in the roof. I'll put a picture up here of what you want to be looking out for typically when you are looking at a roof. You also want to be checking the condition of the windows, seals around the windows, whether they're double glazed, things like that. What are the window frames made out of? You can see here behind us, these are PVC windows, so they're obviously going to be newer. Same thing goes for condensation on the window panes. You want to be making sure that the windows are in relatively good condition. Same goes for the roof. The roof could set you back tens of thousands of pounds if you're not careful. So it's really something that you want to pay attention to when you're going on the viewing. The third main thing that you want to be checking for when walking around on a viewing is the plumbing and the electrics. You want to be checking how old the consumer unit is, how old the boiler is, will they need replaced. These could set you back a good couple of grand. So you want to be very sure on whether these are going to need replaced. For the consumer unit, I'll put a picture up here of an old consumer unit. I'll also put a picture up here of a new consumer unit. You want to be making sure it looks relatively like this one. If it doesn't, that's perfectly fine, but you're going to have to obviously factor that into your refurb cost, making sure that you have obviously factored in for the correct amount. You can also have a look when you're walking around the property, have a look at the sockets. If the sockets are on the skirting, which could indicate that you might need a rewire on the property, the sockets should be sitting at about 300mm above floor height, so that's going to be a good indicator that it could need a rewire. For the boiler, a good little tip is to go to the nearest tap, whether that's a bathroom, whether that's a kitchen. Run the hot tap for about 30 seconds if the water is turned on. If that water isn't getting hot within the next 20 to 30 seconds, that could be a good indicator that there is not the highest water pressure in the house and that the boiler might need replaced. Another little tip is just have a look at the service stamps on both the boiler and the consumer unit. Have a look when it was last serviced. That might give you also a good indication of how old the consumer unit or the boiler is. The next thing that you want to be checking for is damp and mold. These can be a big cost. You also might not actually know the extent of the problem until you start ripping plaster back and things like that, but it's always a good thing to check. Have a look around, see if there's any water stains on the walls and ceilings. Have a look for damp spots, mold, things like that. You could also have a look at the window seals like we talked about before. If there's roof tiles missing, that could potentially be also a good indicator that there might be some possible damp in the property. So you want to be making sure you check for that. A good little tool you could use for this is a damp meter. I'll put a picture up here of what one of them look like. These are going to give you a good indication of how damp the wall is, and then you'll obviously know from that whether that's something that you're going to need to factor into your refurb cost. Now, another thing you want to be taking into account, which is quite obvious, but is the location. When you're viewing an investment property, you're going to want to have an idea of your plan for that property before you even go view it. So if it's going to be a buy-to-let, if it's going to be a HMO, if it's going to be an SA, you're going to have a look at the location, making sure that the location actually does fit the strategy that you're trying to implement. If it's in a bad area, that might not work as well as you think as an SA. If there's no parking, no transport links, that might not be as good for a family as you think it might be. So these are things that you're going to actually have to take into account when going to the property. You could even walk around the area at night time, get a feel for the area. Does it feel safe? Does it feel like somewhere you would like to live? And really just get a good indication before you put that money down on whether the area is somewhere where you think is going to either go up in the next 10 to 15 years or plummet in the next 10 to 15 years. You want to really take this into account before moving further ahead with the property. Another thing that people forget is time frame. Refurbs, you're not going to get that done in a week. So you're going to have to take a look around the property, get a good, concise idea of what needs done and how much time that realistically is going to take. If the property is going to need stripped back to brick, replastered, all these things are going to take time, especially the plaster. You're going to have to wait for the plaster to dry. So these are all things that you want to make sure that you're taking into account when factoring in the costs or the time frame for your refurb. If you've got bridging interest or you've got mortgage payments on that property, these are going to build up, eat into your profit in the time it takes you to do that refurb. So this is a big thing that you want to be factoring in. You don't want to be sleeping on this. And the last thing that we're going to talk about in this video is concise refurb costs. You want to be making sure that to the nearest couple of £1,000 that refurb cost is exact, or at least close to as you're going to get. You want to be getting expert advice from builders. You want to get multiple builders quotes so you know you're not getting shafted. You could even potentially get the surveyor to give you an idea, but you want to be as close as you can be with how much this refurb is going to cost you. You don't want to buy it and then realise that there's more things that need to be done that you didn't factor in for, i.e. the roof or something like that. That's going to eat in completely to your profit and then make the deal a very bad deal. You want to be as certain as you can on how much this refurb is actually going to cost. Of course, things go wrong. Refurbs do go over budget, but you want to just get as close to the cost as you can for that property before obviously going ahead with it. So you may have actually seen my recent video where I talked about the best place to invest in the UK currently in the property market. If you haven't already seen it and you are interested in getting started in the property market here in the UK, I'm going to leave a link below. It's going to be the first link in the description. That's going to be a free guide. There's no strings attached, no mentorship. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but it's going to give you pretty much a free guide as to where is the best place to invest currently into the UK property market. You could even drop us a message on the Instagram page linked below and let us know you got it. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your thoughts are. I'm looking forward to seeing you lot win. I hope you all go out there and smash it. Feel free to head over to the socials listed below. Post on there very regularly. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.